sudden I get a phone call from the pediatrician's office, and they said to me, there was a mistake. And I said, well, what do you mean? And they're like, Jax was given another dose. And I said, what do you mean? Because I want you to be accountable for what happened.
I mean, it's a big mistake.
That's a huge mistake.
Welcome to A Place of Yes. I'm your host, Heather Straughter. This is a podcast about how I moved through my darkest hour. And all I can say is I dug deep, figured out where I was and where I wanted to be. And for me, the answer was in a place of yes. Welcome to the show.
I am super excited today. We are sitting here with Kayla, Jax's mom, also Mia's mom. But we have been working with Jax probably since 2019 or so.
Yep.
It's always interesting when I do things with Jake's Help from Heaven because we end up having relationships with people that otherwise we would not have met. And certain families I just connect with, certain moms I just connect with. And I'm really excited to have Kayla here because while we don't know each other well, we have spent time together and I'm looking forward to this conversation. Kayla, thank you for doing this.
I'm excited.
And can you tell me a little bit about you and your family?
It is myself and Dad, Justin. He usually goes by J and I usually go by K. We just kind of...
That's kind of cute.
Yeah, we kind of just like shortened everything. We're like, oh, the kids' names are going to be short. Everybody's short. So it's Mia and Jax. Jax is 6 now. Oh my gosh.
I believe it.
And Mia is 8. They are like 14 months apart. They're absolutely amazing. They're so thoughtful. They are amazing together. Mia helps out Jax. Jax has autism. Mia has some speech delays. When we found out after the diagnosis and stuff like that, with autism, it could be different from anybody. From what I'm understanding now, they stopped doing like the different levels. So there's not like 1, 2, or 3 levels.
So that's not a...
So I guess that's new. Where they're not doing that, they're not labeling per se like different levels. So it's like different levels of need because some kids with autism can function very well.
Yeah.
They talk, they can, they have trouble socially or something like that. Jax, with him being autistic and what we experience with him, he is not nonverbal, but he's non-speaking.
Okay.
So with that term, he has the ability to use words. It's just getting them out. It's like they're stuck in there. So trying to get them out. So
it's like expressive language? Is that what that is? It's sort of like it's like there, but it can't.
Yeah, he just can't per se get it out.
Okay. Do they think he will, or you just don't know?
I don't think that they'll tell me because it's like putting false hopes out there. But it's like I have Justin's dad's girlfriend has a son that's autistic.
Okay.
And she keeps on telling me, she's like, it's okay. Everything's going to be okay. She's like, my Jake was just like Jax.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay. I'm like, I am hopeful, and I think that's all we can do is be that's the best thing we can do for our kids is just be hopeful that things turn out better. But I can tell you, I cry nightly.
I used to always say this. I had a different version of this with Ethan in college, but when Jake was alive, right, I would always say in the morning, okay, in the light of day, things are better. But I would call it that like 2 a.m. spiral. Or
every time.
2 a.m. It. 2 a.m. is it, and it gets dark, and it gets, like you can't get out of it.
Nope.
And then in the morning you kind of get up and you start your routine. And I always would say, like in the light of day. Yeah.
Routines don't go outside the routine.
Yeah. Like you get out of the routine and it can just
completely throws everything off. Yep. That's another thing with him. If you don't do the routine,
deviate.
Oh my gosh. When I was, because I had a hysterectomy recently, so I was down for a couple weeks, and we ended up flying in one of our friends from Washington State. So she knows our kids, she knows the routines and stuff like that. But it's also hard with Dad because he stayed home too, because it takes 2 or 3 people just to do what I do. Yeah. It's a lot. Yeah. It's a lot. So even with Dad, because he works 70 hours a week, he's a truck driver. He doesn't know the routine, and that's fine. You're not gonna know what I do on a daily basis. So guess what I did? I wrote down every single time that you do X, Y, and Z. Slapped it right up on the cupboard. This is their schedule. This is what they do. And if you go outside of it,
it's in your best interest. Yeah.
Good luck. And if you don't do it, one of them's going to tell you. It's so funny because Jax, his teacher actually messaged me the other day. She's like, I did the weather before the date.
Oh.
and he yelled at me. She's like, "What? Jade!" Like he's like yelling.
Threw him right off.
Oh yeah, went up to the chalkboard and everything.
Jade went, "Oh,
yep." That's so funny. Don't go out of routine.
No.
Don't do it.
You were warned.
You were warned.
So, hey, let's backtrack a minute. I want to ask you a question that I've talked about with some other families, and it has to do with sometimes conversations you might have or experiences you have with doctors' offices. As we have to always advocate for our kids, have you ever had anything come up that has just sort of been, I don't know, uncomfortable or made you mad?
We went in and we did our routine shots. And what I always did was I wanted to split them up.
Yep.
I was
hesitant
yep. on it because I'm like, I really just want them spaced out. And they're like, oh, well, we don't have it. So with that being said, we went in, had it done. And they're like, okay, well, he needs to come in for, I forgot what it was exactly that he was supposed to go in for, but he was supposed to go in for a different type of shot. It was about 14 days later. So he did okay. After the first shot, we went in for the second. And I thought that was like enough time to space out.
Yep.
And I mean, there's not really a time frame that
yeah.
you don't know. But yeah, so I went in there and, we're fine, go get it done. And it was like a couple hours, maybe about 12 hours later, we started noticing that he was getting really restless and he was getting really upset. I'm like, I know they say with the shot, they're like, oh, just give him some Tylenol, I'll call it a day. A few months go by and we've seen a specialist. We made sure it wasn't stomach issues. They tried playing it off as it being colicky. And I'm like, you need to figure this out. It was so wild that I knew something was up. So then all of a sudden I get a phone call from the pediatrician's office and they said to me, there was a mistake. And I said, well, what do you mean? And they're like, Jax was given another dose. And I said, what do you mean? He wasn't given what he was supposed to be given. There was a error. The nurse gave him the wrong shot.
Oh, God.
So he received
like a double dose
within 2 weeks. So I said to them, I was like, what do you mean? What does this mean? What is it going to do to him? Like, I want answers. Yeah. Like, I need you
and
to
you can't go backwards. There's nothing you can do.
You can't suck it out.
I mean, I'm like, but you're probably thinking
like do something.
Jesus.
Like,
okay.
Is there something that you could do? And they're like, there's nothing that we could do. We just got to see what happens. And I'm like, I got no answers. So I started getting angry.
Of course.
Angry bear mode. And I was like, I need a note stating that this happened in your office and this is what happened because I want you to be accountable for what happened.
I mean, it's a big mistake.
That's a huge mistake. I want some sort of education, something to be done. So I'm like, I don't want people losing their jobs over this, but they need to know what happened. But it has to be,
yes.
Like there needs to be
things
something.
Have to be changed because this happened. Like you need different protocols because what you have doesn't work.
Apparently it doesn't work.
I had no idea that was your story.
Yeah.
I mean, that is...
It's hard to say that.
Jump in if I'm saying this incorrectly, but I sometimes... So with Jake, there was an incident. But essentially what happened is he had a seizure out of nowhere. Like that just happened. You know, he had a seizure. We went to the hospital in the middle of the night. You know, there was no pediatric neurologist here. We're en route to go to Boston Children's, and we have to stop at this hospital in Springfield. They didn't know what they were doing. But instead of saying we're in over our heads, they gave him propofol. It is an anesthetic. Like, so it's like often like if you're having a surgery, it's something they use for anesthesia because it knocks you out short term.
Yeah.
So they pumped my baby, 8 months old, filled with propofol. Jeez. They were thinking that it would rest his mind, right? Like, and there's something like, so at Boston Children's, they did months later, they did a different, it'll come to me but they did something similar, but not with propofol. Long story short, there is then something called propofol intoxication that happens. Yeah. Never approved for like under 3, like all of the things. For us, like there was part of me, like, I mean, when you say like mama bear, like, I mean, like I went
an inner
shit.
side,
like, yes,
just like boils inside.
Like there's
of
a piece of me that just went nuts, you know? And long story short, I was like, we're getting in a helicopter right now and we're going to Boston Children's right now. Like it was too late. Like when we got to Boston Children's, they spent the first 3 or 4 weeks undoing. Like it wasn't about him being there for seizures. It was about being there with propofol intoxication. And a lot of things that happened as a result with Jake and his loss of milestones and his inability to bounce back from some of this was because of that. I struggled so much and I still struggle because there's part of me that's like someone should pay for that. Like,
oh, absolutely.
I'm sure. Like what is this?
Still
This is
so
not
angry.
So angry.
Yep.
But then the flip side was you're the mom. So like, right? Like Jake needed me. Like he needed his mom. He needed my energy. Like I had to sort of let it go. And, but I obviously haven't let it go because I could punch someone right now, you know, like, but it's sort of that same thing, right? Like it's so wrong. But at the same time, you can't undo what has happened. One of the things I love about like when we go to your house or when we were together is just the way your family unit really just like you're in it. Like you are in all of it.
It's always crazy. Always chaos. Always something crazy going on.
But like great chaos, right? Like,
absolutely.
Just for the audience that doesn't know, Jake's Help from Heaven is an organization that my husband and I started after we lost our son, Jake. And, you know, when you talk about Jax and Mia being like 14 months apart, that was Ethan and Jake. For a brief time, like I knew that chaos, right? Like having two kids that close in age, but it's also great because there's no way for them not to be connected.
The bond.
You know, it's just, it's something super special. So Jax is active.
Oh, goodness, yes.
So I remember, I think it was the last time I was at your house, like he was like, you turn away for a second and he finds ways to climb and to.
Yeah, he's all over the place. He loves to run, jump around, climb on things. He's always up on top of the couch. He's like...
that's what I remember. He was like, I came home and said, Brian, I was like, it's kind of like he's actually Spider-Man. Like he can like scale a wall.
Yep. And then we showed you in his bedroom how we have like a little house for his bed.
Yes.
And he loves to get on top of it and just lunge off of it. And that was one of the things that we ended up requesting for the grant was the crash pad. So whenever he did jump, that he would be at least cushioned.
So a lot of, and that was honestly another great part of our last visit was, so over the years we've done a lot of like sensory items and crash pads or I think a balance beam once, just different types of things. Sometimes, especially in the COVID years, I think we weren't able to do as many like in-person deliveries. Like we had to really be conscious of.
I think you had to like drop it off at the door.
Yes,
like wave from the
I was like,
window.
exactly. I was going to say, I feel like we did like drive-by deliveries for a while or like, so, you know, what was that?
I think the yoga boat, you had to leave it on the step and be like, back away from the door. You're like,
I'm like, hey. Hi. We had to keep our distance and figure out how to make sure we were doing things right, but still get people what they needed. Because almost.
You guys did an amazing job.
So where is he in school now? And I know we brought an iPad to it and I can't remember. So he is in a typical classroom or is he in a...
Nope, he's in a
self-contained
classroom. He has about, I think, 8 kids now.
Okay.
I know at one point, I think there was 12, but now there's, I believe, 8. He has a teacher for 3 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Which is amazing.
That's so great. The continuity and they get to know him and he gets to know her, right? Like the whole...
And it's just the routine for him. He absolutely loves his teacher and we absolutely love her.
That's
teacher.
awesome.
Oh my God, she's so amazing.
So what year of the 3 is this that you're in?
So this is 2.
Okay.
2, yeah, because kindergarten, first grade, and then second grade, he'll be with her. And then third, he goes to a different spot. I don't know where.
Okay.
It stinks that we didn't have her first summer school, but we know that they need breaks and stuff.
I know, but you're like, are you sure?
Yeah, I'm like, are you sure? You want to hang out? Every time I say her name, he blushes.
Oh, that's so sweet.
So cute.
And what a difference, right? Like, so I always call this my past life, but in my past life, I lived in Boston, like, where I met my husband and whatnot, but I was a special ed teacher for 10 years.
Okay.
And I always said that was kind of like a precursor for my life, right? Because I do think teaching is a calling, right? And there would be people in my school who it was less of a calling for. Like they're just not that they weren't that into it.
Yeah.
And then there were people, and you could tell.
You could tell.
Or, you know, maybe they were into it, but it was time to stop, you know, yada, yada, yada. But I loved it so much, right? And I sort of how I am in the way I do like Jake's Help from Heaven stuff, like I don't have a ton of boundaries, right? Like I'd have some kids that I would take them out to the movies or I would, you know, different kids needed different things and I was kind of always the one who would do that. So it's funny when you say that because it kind of brings me back to then where like I totally would do stuff like that with like my kids. I'd be like, no, I got you. Like I'll do this or we'll do this or I'm happy for him that he has a teacher like that because it's so important. And especially as whether it's autism or whatever sort of it is to have someone that is invested in helping make a difference because it really does take a whole.
It takes.
You know, I mean, such a cliche to say it takes a village, but it takes a village.
It really does. It really does. It's amazing what they do. how dedicated they are to these kids. And it's not just his one specific teacher, just even his therapist, like they'll reach out to me, you know, we'll conversate and stuff like that. It's nice to be able to express to them, you know, like frustrations or, you know, things that you need help with. It's wonderful to be able to have that connection. Amazing.
I think it was even one of his teachers, if I remember this correctly, and I don't always remember things correctly, but when we brought the iPad, right, was it his speech teacher or was it his teacher? Okay, yeah. And you know, they helped you with the application to Jake's, make sure he's got the Pro Loco to go. Is that what he's got? Or is it a touch?
He's got the
Lamp, that's right. So there's like 3 different like apps that we often, you know, that it's one of 3 and I never can remember which. But how does he work with that? Does he love it?
Oh my gosh.
For the audience, so iPads, obviously, we all use our iPads for whatever. Yeah. But they have certain apps, and these apps are anywhere from like $250 to like $350. So it's not like your typical 99-cent app.
Anything that's special needs or labeled special needs, like it
skyrockets.
My gosh, the price that they do, like that they charge for things is amazing.
It's so unfair. We talk about that actually at the board all the time. Like, some things you can see and understand. Like you can say, you know what, like this is, you know, we have some people who have like severe cerebral palsy and they need this for like, but some stuff.
Chairs or just any sort of like adaptive equipment, I would completely understand that. But
some of the stuff, it's like wild to me. So these apps are kind of fall in that category, right? The cheapest one you can get, I actually just bought one yesterday. It's $267.49. Not cheap, right? You know, and then they go up from there. But what is cool is that they often provide kids who are otherwise nonverbal or not able to communicate an opportunity to communicate.
Absolutely.
So can you talk about how Jax uses that?
So with the Lamp app, it was a struggle at first because he was just like, I don't know what this is. But then he started clicking like just the different pictures and starting to read. Ever since doing like the early intervention and stuff like that, his one teacher that he had was a special ed teacher. Her name is Holly. Oh my gosh. I just messaged her the other day. I was like, just because of you reading him Brown Bear, I think that's what really did help him learn how to read.
That's so nice that you're still like in touch with them and that you can be like just checking in because that's awesome.
Yep. I've checked in a few of his previous like therapists that we absolutely fell in love with.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so it helped when you do like you're reading with him and stuff like that. He was able to pick out different words and see because you're able to put the word above the photo.
Okay.
So that helps. So he knows some words that he can read, and then he'll press the icon and it will pop up the word at the top, and then it will say it. So what we found that helps the most with him is that if we want him to say something, we'll type it in and we'll make it like say it to him and he'll repeat it.
That's awesome.
Like that's how we're getting him to talk. Mommy loves you. Good night. It's time for bed. And then he'll read it back. And then sometimes he'll just say something else and it pulls
it gets him. It gets it.
It's all there. Like he knows these words. It's just he can't communicate. He can't get it out.
He can't find his like voice yet, or his like.
Yeah.
No, that's so great. I think does he use that also in school? So like.
Yep. He has his own at school.
So then when he comes home, he's got the same.
He's got his. We go back and forth. I'll send it and she will program it to what she has in the classroom. So that way it's not anything too different. I'll like send her pictures and she'll like add it to hers. Like we'll add pictures of like family,
like whatever's happening and like to keep it.
Yep. Like we'll take pictures of, let's say, different foods or specific foods, because there's some food stuff on there that he won't even touch because that alone is just like pulling teeth to get this child to eat anything that's out of his norm. Like trying to do anything new is so difficult. So it's like trying to like rotate the type of foods that he eats I'm sick of making the same thing.
You're like, I'm over it.
I'm over it. I'm really over it. And I know that he's over it. Having another child that does not have autism, trying to explain that to her, there'll be times, and it breaks my heart, and I'm going to try not to cry, that she will go to the park and then she'll see like other kids looking at him and we're like chasing him down, won't let him, like I've lost him twice in a park, and I tell you, internally, I went to the car and I bawled my eyes out. It's for a brief second, you just you don't see, once you don't, like they're not in your eyesight, forget it. So terrible. But every time we go to the park or we go somewhere publicly, Mia's like, he has autism. It's okay. Just let him go. Yeah. Just let him do this. Like we'll go to the bounce house.
Sky Zone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll take him there. and he'll rush in front of the other kids and we're like trying to hold them back. And these kids are just like giving the nasty look. And Mia's like, it's okay. Just let him. He's autistic. He doesn't understand. It breaks my heart because trying to explain to her that he's different and that he learns differently. She sees like other kids and it just like, she's so caring.
I've talked about this before, and I've talked about Ethan.
Yeah,
as the mom, it is. It's just it's hard because they're learning these lessons hard.
Yep.
And
too early too.
Too early, and people are saying stuff, and they're protective, and they're defending, and you know all the even the things we don't know, we know, right?
Yep.
But at the same time, and I'm older, and Ethan's 19 now.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, he's better for it. Yeah. I do believe that now, and Mia will be better for it too.
Oh, absolutely.
Ethan's at Syracuse now. He's in college, and and this is kind of a funny story, but he was maybe 2 or 3 weeks into school or whatever, and he sends me this text, and he's like, "Ma, I just made a donation to Autism Alliance. Can you Venmo me?" And I was like, say more. Like, I was like, what do you, and he's like, well, there was this great guy and he was, in Shine in this, like the student center. And he's like, and they were talking about stuff. And I wanted to do riding lessons like Jake does for kids with autism, but that was out of my budget. So I did swim lessons. And I was like, thinking to myself, I'm like, you have no budget, kid. Like, where are we going with this? And then he's like, well, I just wanted to do it, and I wanted to help. And it's okay if you don't Venmo me, but if you could split it with me. And I was like, what did you spend? He's like, $250. Oh. And I was like, I love everything about this. I love that you did it. Yeah. I love that you stopped and listened. I love that you found something. FYI, your budget is like $25 to $50. Should you ever get moved again?
Yeah.
I will Venmo you. But she will be like that too, right? Like I said, it's a hard lesson, but they're going out into this world and they are going to make the difference.
Oh, absolutely.
They are going to be the voice, and she's going to be awesome. So like because often it's me, but like another board member or something, like, we come by. One thing that I do know, and that I have said to you, like, I love going to your house because like Jax is who Jax is.
Yep.
Right. You know what I mean? And he is valued as who he is. He is loved as who he is.
Yep.
And your home is such a safe place for him, right? Yep. Even the items that you request from Jake's Help from Heaven, some of them are things that, I don't know what they are until they arrive. And I usually, especially post-pandemic, like as we've gotten bigger, I haven't always been able to do, like I used to do all the deliveries and now I just can't. We help so many families and there's so much. There's so much for the families that I have always known. I was like, oh no, I'm having it shipped to my house so I can go deliver them. You know, like I want to come by.
Yep.
And last time we were there, it was so great to see him immediately use. Like I brought that
absolutely.
Mirror.
Yep.
That was some of my favorite videos ever. But you showed us, and you alluded to this before, but you took me into his room, and you guys have built this incredible bed over his bed, and then on the side of the bed was that like activity wall, that we had bought a couple of years ago.
That was right before the pandemic happened.
I was going to say, I think you were even in the apartment then, right?
Yep,
that was
that was the first delivery, I believe, because that's when you brought the bubble lamp.
Yes. Yep. The crash pad. Like now I have a total vision of like where that is, and 100% that it's used and necessary.
At all times. I can't tell you how many times like he's using it. The bubble mirror. He'll just sit there and just like he's learning his facial expressions. So like he'll like steal my phone or like take the iPad. Sometimes he just starts like he'll throw the iPad at me and he like mirror, camera. And he knows that there's a camera on there. So then he'll take the ring light. He'll put it on like the bright lights and stuff like that. And it's like flashing in front of him. And he'll put the little video on it and he'll just sit there and
doing his own, like striking poses.
Oh my God, it's so funny, his facial expressions. But he's learning how to like express himself. So the distorted mirror helps him. What also with like autism and stuff like that, when you stim, because he stims a lot. He's sensory
like that's some of the like the rocking or the like repetitive.
The humming, the vocal stimulation helps him. So it's like almost like an itch that you can't itch.
Yeah.
So you're sitting there trying to
get it. Get
it. So the spinning, the seat that you guys got with the spinning. Oh my gosh, hours that child will sit on that thing and just spin. And then he'll stand up and he'll do the wobble. And then he just like smiles and then gets back on it. And then he just spins some more. And like, then he'll go to like the mirror and he's like staring at it and he's like going, like, it's just the distortedness. So like, it's like a balance kind of thing also. So it's wild. The different things that he does. He's a huge sensory seeker. So he's constantly
Have you guys done like the weighted blanket and stuff like that?
Hates blankets.
He does. Okay.
we tried doing the snug sock thing where he'll get into it. He got into it for a little bit, and then he's just like thought it was funny falling down a few times, and then he's just like I'm over it.
Yeah. So one of the things that I wanted to, and I kind of touched on this already, like I become kind of connected with families, right? Because I'm like invested in Jax, and I like have known you guys now since like 2019 or whatever. Yeah. One of the things that I love very much is that last time I was there, and not only you showed me all the different things, which is just from like
how we utilize everything.
Yeah, like it's so great, you know. And but also then you shared with me that you guys are getting married.
Yeah,
and it's so like I was so happy, like I was so like, but I remember like telling Brian, and I was like, they're getting married, and it's kind of funny because he doesn't get to come to as much delivery, so he loves the stories but isn't quite as connected.
Yeah,
and I was like, I don't know, like I felt genuinely happy for you guys, right?
It's a long time.
It's a long time coming, and
10 years.
10 years.
Yeah, we've been together 10 years as of last week.
And you're doing the thing. No, it's great.
We're finally doing it.
You had mentioned that part of the, there's always reasons why it takes a long time, right? Like, who am I to judge?
We're not doing the traditional thing where you get married first and stuff like that. We thought about it. We started before we had kids, but then we had kids.
Everyone's journey is different, right?
Yeah.
One of the things that you had mentioned to me was that one of the reasons was insurance, and you needed to make sure your insurance was on point for Jax.
Yep.
Can you talk a little bit about that? Because that kind of stuck with me. Like, some people get married, some people it takes 10 years, some people it takes 20 years, some people never get married. But when you have a factor like that to think about, it's different, right?
And it's wild because before we had the kids, we already started planning. We got engaged 6 months after we got together. And then we ended up trying to have kids. Couldn't have kids. We were told that we couldn't at first. So we ended up having IVF.
Okay.
So that's how I had Mia. Then after having Mia, I ended up getting pregnant 6 months later. Okay. And then shortly after, I think I was 8 weeks, I had a miscarriage. Absolutely horrible.
Awful.
Worst time. I hated healthcare at this point. After 6 months, it was Mia's birthday, and a week later I took a pregnancy test. I was pregnant again. So then here we got Jax. Yeah. So then we're going through the stuff with both kids, and we're like, oh well, we're just gonna wait a little bit.
Just
wait a little bit. Okay, no problem. And we started picking up, the thoughts of what we're gonna do and stuff like that. Then his diagnosis happened, and we just didn't know what to do. We didn't know where to start. We focused on the kids. So once we got the diagnosis and stuff like that, we knew nothing about special needs. We knew nothing about what we needed to do, the things that we were eligible for at that point. Ended up having different insurances. Because Jay and I weren't married, I was considered a single mom of 2.
Okay. Even though
that we were living together. We ended up getting Medicaid, and we were always told that you have to have a certain amount of income and stuff like that. If we included his income, we wouldn't be eligible for anything. At first, we were introduced to OPWDD. Okay. We were always told that if we had been married, the income together would disqualify us.
Which I don't think that's true, is it?
We have found out after many years that now they're not required. They're okay with at least OPWDD, we're okay. It's not an income-based situation. With me, I was a CNA for 12 years.
Okay.
And I had a back injury. I have been out for 4 years now.
Okay.
So I have Social Security disability and stuff like that because my back is just so bad. With that, it's only dad's income at this point. So then we're like, okay, maybe since we're not, I'm not making what I was, maybe we could do this. So I'm looking into it more. And then we found out we'll be fine.
Okay.
The kids aren't going to lose their insurance.
Well, because you have to make these life decisions.
Yeah.
Based on information that you're given, which is always, and we've had this.
Says one thing.
Yeah. And someone else says, and we've talked about this even with Jax's care managers, right? Some are great and some.
We've gone through so many different case managers, care managers. Having a child or just having someone that you're taking care of with special needs is so difficult with many different aspects, but it's so rewarding in the same sense.
No, for sure.
Trying to make sure that you're their voice and getting them the help that they need and they require. Right now, we're having issues with diapers. Medicaid had a huge like something happened, data breach or something. We haven't had diapers for 3 months. Nobody knows anything, and they don't know how to bill, and that's the problem. They don't know how to bill.
Because they need to make sure they get their money. So one of our things on this show is we talk about, so there's grief, and everyone thinks of grief as the loss of a loved one. But I always think of grief in a different way as well, right? Because sometimes you're grieving this life you thought you were going to have.
Oh, yeah.
And like when Jake first got sick, there was a ton of people who told me, like, you have to grieve that your life is not what you were picturing.
Yep.
I suspect that there's part of that in your life as well, right? Like
Absolutely.
Talk a little bit about like how you handle that or how you think about that.
Yeah. So everything changed. I'm not saying that it was a terrible thing. It's opened our eyes to so many different things. We've slowed down a lot, and it definitely slows you down. It makes you appreciate the little things. The fact that like how he giggles now, just the slightest things when he says a certain word. And it's so hard because you feel like as a special needs parent that you're left out because you can't do certain things.
And the world's going on, like the world's happening.
The world's happening. Nothing's stopping for us.
Yeah.
So everything else is moving around. It's like Mia can enjoy things with people that he can't because she understands not to run. I can't bring her to dance with him in the car because he'll get so upset that we're leaving her. And he's like...
And doesn't get it. Yeah.
He doesn't get it. He doesn't understand it. It's very hard to relate to other parents that don't have special needs kids. No matter how much you tell someone what you're going through, you just don't know.
Very, very few people get it.
You just don't know. And it's like we'll get invited to parties and gatherings, and 9 times out of 10, it's just Jay and Mia going.
Yeah.
Because I cannot bring him to a place that it's not safe for him.
Yeah.
And it's not that I don't trust people. And it's not that I don't trust myself being able to take care of him. He's unpredictable. 1 minute he's fine, next thing he's not. He's throwing a meltdown, or
there's also that
struggling.
Protective piece, right? Like
I
used to do this with Jake because, like, and protective for them, but also for you. I don't know. Like with Jake, the questions would be different, but be like, why does he always look like he's asleep? Why can't you take him out of the stroller? Why da 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 da? Or and I'm sure with him,
It's
they're
the
like,
looks.
Yeah, like
it's
that's the judgment a little bit, and even when they don't mean it malicious or mean or bad, like it's just
he doesn't look autistic. Well, autism doesn't have a look.
It's just exhausting, right?
Like, it really is.
Sometimes it's depressing. It's depressing. It's exhausting, and it's like, oh, I'm protecting Jake from it, but I was also you got to protect yourself sometimes because it's like you just can't be on the receiving end of it all the time.
I can't tell you how many times that we'll go somewhere for a party, and I'm like, I need 3 people to be able to help me because there's going to be times that I need time out.
Yeah,
I need to stop.
You need to take a breath. You need to
went to a Chuck E. Cheese birthday party and we brought him with us, and thank God it was just Jay and I, but I wish there was another person because he's darting. And if you grab him to be like, hey, slow down, he doesn't understand the term slow down. It's a struggle. And statistics are that parents of children that have special needs are experiencing anxiety, depression, and stuff like that, and loneliness because of it. But I wouldn't change it.
No.
I would not change a single thing.
People always ask, like, would you change it? And of course I would change it because I don't want my son to have died, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't want that outcome. I don't want any of it. But I also am so cognizant of saying I wouldn't change it. And I kind of feel like this is...
You just wish for the better.
You wish for something better, but at the same time, like, that's your boy. And Jake was my boy. And I always would say, like, if I wish for something different, it's meaning he's not enough.
Exactly.
And I always was like, I always would worry that would hurt his feelings. And even with him now being passed away, but I don't want... I want him looking down and being like... My mom loved me to, I mean, I don't want him to think that there was...
to your extent that you can physically do. And that's all that they can ask for. And it's hard because sometimes they can't communicate that they see what you're doing.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I'll see, for instance, a TikTok about older kids that are autistic. And they're saying, I may not have been able to tell you, but I saw you and I saw what you did and I appreciate you.
And
when
I'm
they
sure
finally
you, sob.
Oh my God.
I'm going to start. Yeah. I mean, it's
my God. Just knowing, like, I can tell, like, I'll sit there and I'll say it till I'm blue to the face. I say, I love you, Jax. I love you, buddy. And he can't, like, there's that one time that he said it to me. Oh my God, my heart. When he said to me, I love you for the first time, thank baby Jesus that I have cameras in my house because I recorded that. I saved it. I was like, I don't care how bad the angle was. I was like,
I will play that over and over.
Yeah. I will play it over and over again. I just remember praying to be able to hear his voice, like, because I never knew whether or not if he was going to
ever going to hear it.
And all you can do is just hope for a better day, keep on plugging away, and know that you're doing your best that you can that day.
And I was just going to say that day, because sometimes it looks different on different days.
Absolutely.
Like some days you're a rock star all day, every day, and some days it's just not quite that easy.
Yep. There's days that, you can't get up.
No, it's just what it is. You're doing, like I said before, you guys are doing such a great job.
We're trying to make our house like the place to be for him. And
well, it's evident.
He's safe.
It's evident that he... and I know that he can't always use his words and he's unpredictable, but it's so evident just being in your home that he is so safe there and so happy and loves you guys so much. And your relationship, it's crystal clear to anybody who's watching. So you guys are doing a great job. We do this piece where it's called like Ask Heather Anything. So ask Heather anything.
Oh my God.
I know it. And then we put people on the spot. They're like, I have no idea.
All right. So what is your favorite snack?
So I am on this for like the last year or so. I've been on this like super high protein. When you reach a certain age, things just aren't as easy as they used to be.
Yep.
So I like do a lot of strength training and I eat a ton of protein.
Okay.
In order to just...
I have to as well. So
it's my thing. So I have found like every high protein, like I eat Chomps, I have like these Bearbell bars, I have like these Quest chips.
Okay.
Like I have for every version of a snack that I like, I have my high protein. So like in my bag right now, I have like the high protein Doritos. They're not Doritos, they're Quest chips.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so I have like my thing.
Oh, okay.
But I'm always like, we'll be here like in meetings and stuff, and I'm like I eat all the time, I'm like a child. Well, first of all, I have so enjoyed this conversation because it's so funny. You think you know someone, and then you sit down with a big mic in front of you, and you learn a lot more.
Yeah, I can go on for hours. So
no, but the first thing I want to say is, thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you for having me.
No, absolutely. I have enjoyed this very much more. Like I knew I was going to enjoy it. I just knew. We would talk and things, but I've learned so much. I love the way you have created this life for yourself, for Jay, like you guys together and your kids. You're doing a great job, right? And trust me, I'm the one who some days are great and some days are not, right? Sometimes Brian's my absolute best friend. Sometimes I want to punch him in the face. You know what I mean? Like that is just the story of...
It's mutual.
Well, he would say the same thing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You guys are in the fight. You are doing the work.
Absolutely.
You are doing so right by your kids. You are a team and you are a family and
I just can't wait to be complete, finally.
So October 31st, I'm so excited for you guys. And I'm going to put out there that I got a sneak peek at the dress and it's amazing. So I'm just going to put that out there.
I was told that I cannot share because just like we want to surprise everybody.
No, I think it's awesome.
But I had to show you.
I'm so excited. I love it. I love it. Thank you for listening to A Place of Yes. Please follow us wherever you listen to your podcasts. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, leave us a thumbs up or leave us a comment. We would appreciate all that you can do. If you really like this episode, please share it with a friend or two. For more information and to leave us any feedback, please reach out to us at jakeshelpfromheaven.org.